for group exercise, do you know how many calories you're currently having per day? So you may say, I don't count calories, that's fine. But you can't say that calories don't count. So I like that little phrase. So you may hear, you don't have to count calories to lose weight. That is true, but you cannot say that calories do not count. Playing with words here. I think you got the point. And hopefully, as I was talking, you got to enjoy the cat doing some gymnastic. So what we're going to do right now, I'm going to show you how to get your BMR. So earlier you would have wrote down your weight, etc. And I'm going to use me as an example. Now, when I asked you earlier, just right now, if you knew what your current caloric intake, it's very important because it's going to tie into everything we're going to do going forward. So all kidding aside, if you think about, as I go through this, the last 48 hours of what you ate, what you drank, just get an idea. Do not nitpick. When I say count your calories, don't go to the very decimal, or, just a general idea. It's perfectly fine. And then just write it down, and then we're going to see how that connects to your weight loss program. All right, so normally you would have this sheet, and I'm going to help you do this worksheet, this part of the program, without having it, because you could just use it on a regular piece of paper. Okay, so we're going to learn BMR, basal metabolic rate, and physical activity level, PAL, what that means, and total daily energy expenditure. So for me to do that, I need to do this. Oh, turn black. So let's see. And then I'm going to go to my website. So you can find these calculators anywhere. But if you're like, hey, I want to support Julio, then go to fitnessfoundry.net. And you go to resources. You notice all these cool things, those worksheets I talked about, testimonials, etc., podcast articles. But for our purposes, calculators. So I just clicked on it. And we'll go to it. Okay, so let me put this down for a second. So I need to find out my BMR, and you can too. So if you're on that page, pull out your phone or another device. If you're a woman, you can use the women's side. If you're a male, you can use this one. I have two different BMR calculators. There's one based on the Harris-Benedict equation, and this, which does not need to know your body composition, meaning like your lean muscle. Then I have a Catch-Mercado BMR equation. So for this one, you would need to know what your lean body mass is in kilograms. And then this one, you don't need to know. So for our purposes, we're just going to use a regular BMR that has Harris-Benedict. As I said earlier, we just want to get a general idea of where our BMR, and I'm going to use me as an example. If you ask, hey, which one's better? The preference would be anything that's based on your lean body mass. How much different it is, it's not going to be that significant, but you should do both. So very likely might be between 200 to 300 calories or 150. It can vary, but again, let's backpedal to doing my BMR, and then I'll walk you through it. So you have your device in front of you, and I'll go first. So I'm going to enter my current weight, 198. How tall am I? How tall am I? I am shrinking as I age, but I think as of now, I'm 72. And now I have to make public how old I am, which is cool. 46. So it says here my BMR is 1888, so I rounded up 1900. And I failed to mention, hey, what is BMR? So basal metabolic rate, in a very, very general definition, is how many calories you need to sustain organ function or life in itself. You do nothing all day, you hang out in your bed, and I'm not doing anything, no other activity than just resting there. So about 1900 calories I need with the data I just entered. There are more technical terms that you can look up, but for our workshop, it's just how many calories you need to sustain organ function at rest, life. All right, so I know my BMR is 1900. However, all of us are active, right? I get up, I do what I do. So I want to find out, and I'm going to help you find out what your total daily energy expenditure. This is a very, 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 very useful tool. I said very many times. Why is it useful? Because with this information, as of today, we're going to find out how many calories we need to maintain our current weight. So I know I want to lose weight, but how many calories do I need to eat to maintain my 198 that I weigh today? So let's do that. And then from there, we can work backwards to create a caloric deficit. So I say my BMR is 1900. So here's your physical activity level. You can Google it and do some more research. So don't mind, I'm not a big fan of how these are phrased, but for our purposes, I'm going to have you select the first one, which says you are sedentary and do little or no exercise. Many people are going to say, I do a lot of exercise, etc. But this one is more like a general population parameter I'm giving you, 1.2 to 1.3. Physical activity level is basically a how many energy expenditure that people do based on specific activities. So if you're a sponsored athlete that maybe work out for like 5 hours a day for 6 days out of a week, the intensity of that 5 hour day, 5 hour workout day is very different than Julio maybe working out 3 times a week and for an hour 45 minutes. So that person's physical activity level is going to be much higher. And it also includes resting and eating and other activities. So for our purposes, for the general population, I'm going to suggest to stay within 1.2 to 1.3, give or take. You can play with it. It's a parameter. And if you look at those labels for nutrition, it's going to say like daily food intake nutrition is 2,500. So it just gives you an idea. So I do 1.2, which is the first one. So it says for me to maintain my current weight, 198, it's about 2,200 or 2,300, give or take. So I'm big on parameters. So let me go up one. Oops. So I go to the next one. So it says 2,600 for the next one, exercise. Again, the way it's worded, I'm not a big fan, because if you look up physical activity level, you can find that the same 1.2, 1.3, it goes up to like 1.4 and 1.7. It could be phrased differently, but I'm suggesting that you consider staying within 1.2 or 1.3 if you're part of the general population. So right now I'll give you a parameter of 2,300, 2,600 to maintain my current weight. I'm going to be very conservative. I'm going to suggest for you to be conservative, and I'm going to go down. I'm going to use the lower spectrum because I want to lose weight. I don't want to keep this weight. So as of now, I'm going to say, okay, 2,200 to 2,300 to maintain my current weight. Now, earlier, I asked you to write down to make an estimate of your caloric intake, right? So now you can compare that to what your body needs to maintain your current weight. So you may be like below what, if you did what I just did, your BMR, then you did your TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, and you can fool around with the PAL, physical activity level. You can compare that to what you're currently eating. So if you're happy with the weight you are, you're probably not watching this workshop. If you want to lose weight, then the TDEE is a great tool, it's a great data. And I say it again, just be conservative and go on the lower end. So hopefully, if you have any questions on that, you can email me, Google it, post it in the comments, because it's very important. So I said for myself, it was 2,300. So that's a starting point. Now, utilizing BMR and physical activity level will establish how many calories you are consuming versus the necessary caloric intake that's conducive to your weight loss goal. Learning your TDEE, which we just did, will reveal the caloric intake to maintain current weight. Not knowing your TDEE, so if I didn't know that I need about 2,200 calories or 2,300 calories to maintain my current weight, when I lose, let me backpedal. Let's say if I lost 70 pounds, right? Once I lost that 70 pounds, it's so important for me to know my total daily energy expenditure for that weight. And then I have some parameters, because it's not sustainable to stay on a diet after you hit your weight. You will have, my system is all about behavior, lifestyle modification. Your whole lifestyle is going to change, how you look at food, your food selection, and hopefully your activity. But it's also important to know, hey, I hit my goal. What do I do now? How many calories do I need to eat, or to maintain what I currently my success weight? So you get your TDEE for your success weight, and then you try to stay don't go above 500 or 1,000 for 3 days consecutively, because then you can start to roller coaster. But once you get this TDEE, is so important. So that last little bubble, knowledge of TDEE, provides a framework to create a safe caloric deficit. So that's where we're heading to now.